Okay, everybody, we're going to go ahead and get started. This is the Community Consolidated School District Board of Education meeting for Wednesday, May 14th, 2025 here at Frederick School. I need a roll call for call to order, please.
Mack.
Here.
Braden.
Here.
Nash.
Here.
Halverson.
Here.
Hune.
Here.
Miller.
Here.
Weedman.
Here.
Lagunas.
Here.
Valdivia.
Here.
And Wells.
Here.
Wonderful. Welcome to our student board members this evening. Please join me for the pledge. Thank you. I need a motion to approve this evening's agenda, please.
So moved.
Second.
Okay.
Miller.
Aye.
Mack.
Aye.
Halverson.
Aye.
Weedman.
Aye.
Braden.
Aye.
Hune.
Aye.
And Nash.
Aye.
Okay, very good. The agenda is approved. Do we have any signatures over there on the public comment list this evening?
We have one, but they requested for the end.
For the end. Very good. Okay, I'll come back to that. Thank you. Okay, we are welcoming the Grays Lake Middle School Way of the Panthers this evening, so I am going to hand it over to Mr. Smith.
All right, good evening, everyone. Thank you again, as we always start out with I appreciate so much, we all appreciate so much the invitation to come and present a little bit in front of you for all the good work that these kiddos are doing throughout the school year. I think you'll notice we were able to talk 3 new members into coming and presenting tonight. So that's kind of fun. You see some new faces to us this time. I'm going to speak a little bit more than I usually do because I'm going to take a little bit of time to, at the beginning, brag about what's been happening and show you just we're not going to dig into the details. We're changing things up a little bit as we get into the kiddos behind me talking tonight. But I do want you to, and I never know where to point this. Where do I point this? I'm pointing by Joe. I had this same problem last time, everybody. There it is. All right, so I know that we have a couple of new board members, and for those of you who have been here before, we start with this slide every time because it is kind of our mission of the Way of the Panther. As we've presented previously, the Way of the Panther is a group of GMS students and educators that value leadership, productivity, and teamwork. We hope to make every voice, big or small, heard. Our goal is to better GMS for the future and to leave a legacy of inspiration and passion for upcoming students and staff members to continue our work, which is exactly what this group is going to do because this group bit off a lot this year. And I know that we updated the first 2 times with some updates on specifically what they were doing. Tonight, I'm just going to talk about just the big ideas because there's 2 slides of big ideas, which again, makes a lot of sense. We have 18 students who are part of the Way of the Panther. We started with 23, so we only lost 5 along the way. And we meet pretty frequently when it's time to meet, and they keep coming back and are dedicated and are pushing on some of the things that they know that they can be working on to make our school a little bit better for themselves and for everybody else that's yet to come behind them. So for those of you who have been part of our meetings before, you have seen these topics. But they have continued to work on ideas for No Place for Hate and anti-bullying activities. Actually, 2 of our new friends here tonight are the 2 who are spearheading that, so I think they wanted to show off a little bit on the work that they're doing. The flexibility on missing school days and absenteeism, which is continuing to be a problem for our students, and just the problem of coming to school in the first place, but also how do we get kids caught back up after they're not at school, and that's something that they have had some ideas and are working through. Student-led tutoring, which is a program that is not up and running yet, but it is something that will continue to be looked at into next year and see if we can get something during our WIN program and maybe after school for this type of program. Advisory time, they've had some ideas for that, and I know that's something as a staff we're working on too. Sensory room updates, bathroom needs and hallway times, and 7th grade orientation has been a fun recent topic of conversation, and we're switching things up on that this school year too. Other things that have been discussion items throughout the school year has been GMS Panther branding around our building, and that is actually something, and they don't even know this yet, but I'm working with a company to see what kind of stickers and posters and things that we can get. So that's been something that, although they brought up the idea, I have kind of taken and run with. And once I get, before the end of the school year, once I get some ideas brought up to us, we'll talk about those and share out what those could look like. We've talked a lot about, and their idea is actually to start coming to staff meetings and start presenting to our staff, and not just you all as adults, because we appreciate all your work, but you're not at GMS every day to really make some of that impactful change, and all of our staff members are. So we are talking about what does that look like, and how do we start bringing their ideas to our teachers and making sure that their voices are heard, which Mrs. Gluck, you heard some of that even in our staff meeting a couple of days ago with some of the data that we have taken from not only our Way of the Panther students, but all of our kiddos. Making GMS a place where all are encouraged to make healthy choices. Student lunchroom help to make sure that we are continuing to work through the waste and making sure that we're recycling and doing all that's expected there. We had talked a lot about conferences and greeting families to make sure that our families feel comfortable as they walk into the building, because they don't walk into our building often enough to feel comfortable when they walk through or know where they're going. So that's something that we talked about as well. Bringing backpacks to classrooms, which I left on the list, which not quite sure how I feel about that, but it's still a topic of discussion. Student dismissal at the end of the day, because it is mass exodus at the end of the day, and it's just how do we get everybody safe? And then obviously graduation as we come through to that part of the school year too. So that laundry list of all of those discussions are things that these 8 behind me, along with the other 10 that are not here tonight, are part of discussions. They're a lot of fun, and I know that some of you email me after, because I'm always like careful and watchful and making sure that they're all good. This is my most fun that I have during the week when I get together with the Way of the Panther students, because it's an opportunity to work with students who are like-minded, who want to be helpful, and have a lot of leadership qualities and a lot of dedication to want to be a leader in our building. And that's what the rest of our presentation is about tonight. We gave you a quick update on what is continued discussions that we have, but you're going to hear from our 8 Way of the Panther teammates here tonight about what they believe the definition of leadership is to themselves, what they have been doing through their first 9 years of school in District 46, maybe how we have helped them along the way a little bit as adults, and what their future looks like, because that's the outcome that I know I want to hear as our 8th graders leave, and we're hoping that you wanted to hear tonight as well. I talked about the number of students that we continue to have. It's 18, and they are dedicated, and it's pretty, unless they are not there at school or they are taking a test or something, they are there. And again, one of the things that we want to make sure that we talk about is their outcomes to all the things that they have done to help GMS this year is because of all the work not only they have put in and their families have put in, but we're going to sneak in all of the teachers along the way too, because their work and dedication to making these wonderful kids has been something that we are not going to overlook tonight too. So here's a little bit of their leadership, personal leadership journeys, so that you can hear what their plans are along the way.
Hi, my name is Kate Sykes. I believe that being a leader means to push yourself and push others to make a change. And I don't think that you have to be like up in front of people to be able to do that. You can also be behind the scenes, like sharing your ideas on what changes need to be made. And I think that trust is a really big part of leadership, because if you don't trust the people you're leading, then no changes are going to be made and no one's going to listen to you if they don't trust you. And so far in my life, I've shown leadership by volunteering around the school and the Grayslake community. I help teachers set up and organize I'm in band and I play alto sax. I'm first chair in both wind ensemble and jazz band, and I push my section and the whole band to get better and know how to do things. And in the future, I will continue showing leadership by continuing to volunteer and be a part of everything in high school and around the community. And also in the future, I would like to be a band director. And I think teaching, like, you need to have leadership skills for that. So, yeah. I also, I remind Mr. Smith when we haven't had meetings in a while.
She's also very much leading me. We continue to have our meetings on a regular basis as well.
Good afternoon, my name is Violet, and ever since I was a kid, I've wanted to help in whatever ways I could. Throughout the years, I've learned that being a leader isn't about being bossy or telling people what to do. It's helping others, setting an example, guiding people down the right path, and standing up for what you believe in when no one else will stand with you. Being a leader is being strong and courageous, but also being kind and compassionate. I've shown leadership by helping to grow the Kindness Club at Frederick, joining clubs, doing volleyball, and being a part of the Way of the Panther team. In the future, I plan on joining student council at the high school and volunteering at an animal shelter. I also plan on starting my own business to help save the lives of animals and in turn, people too.
My name is Eric Kupfer, and to me, leadership is like, it's pushing a group forward and like telling them what to do and how to do it, but then if they need assistance with that, still helping that. And if a problem arises, making sure that somebody is on top of it, even if that means that you then have to stop your task and go help with that. So far for leadership, I've been in Cub Scouts as a child and Boy Scouts more recently, where I manage troop gear. And I plan on eventually getting Eagle Scout and Boy Scouts, and in the future I plan on joining all of the leadership things that my future schools offer.
Good evening. My name is Layla Wells, and I believe that to be a leader, it means to stand for something that you believe in, and to set a good example for your peers or for future generations, but to also be able to take criticism and collaborate other people's ideas with yours to make even better ones. So far in my life, I've shown leadership by being a part of Way of the Panther, volunteering, working with little kids, like babysitting. And in the future, I will continue showing my leadership by staying in student council in high school, continuing to volunteer, and someday becoming an early education teacher.
Hello, my name is Akil Sahu, and I believe that being a leader means to have the ability to direct others with a reason and a purpose that will leave a building block for future generations by inspiring them and making a change when needed. So far in my life, I've shown leadership in countless ways, such as being a part of Way of the Panther here at GMS by playing my tenor saxophone in the band program here at D46, and being a part of Troop 96, Boy Scouts of America. I have been involving myself in various different clubs, such as Science Olympiad, wrestling, and my swim team. In the future, I will continue to show my leadership by participating in organizations to help others become the best versions of themselves. I will strive to be a leader in my academics and sports to help the next generation of leaders to come.
Good evening, my name is Ava Keski, and I believe being a leader means being someone others can look up to and someone others trust to help lead them forward to success. So far in my life, I've shown leadership by being an active member in many recreational activities, which include being a member of theater, whether it's GMS or outside, and being involved in dance, which this means working and collaborating with others to put on a great show. In the future, I will continue showing leadership by continuing active leadership roles in high school, such as dance and even more theater. In the far future, I hope to achieve being a leader in things like becoming a director or working in a show business to lead a team to making a production.
Hi, I'm Sari Valdivia, and I believe being a leader means helping others to success, speaking up for others, helping people. So far in my life, I've shown leadership by volunteering, helping my community, church, school. Also, like my soccer team, I'm captain, and I'm a role model, and try to fix and I try to cheer my teammates up. Also, I've donated my hair like twice for kids with cancer, and I like donating my clothes and my toys that I don't use anymore. In my future, I will continue to showing leadership by volunteering and trying to help others as much as I can. And when I'm older, I want to be a dentist so I could help people out with their health care.
Good evening. My name is Agustin Lagunas. So I would define leadership as leading a group of people to work towards a commonly shared goal, no matter how big or small the project is. So far, in leadership terms, I have joined Lloyd the Panther. I have also done many volunteer works around Grays Lake, Round Lake, Fox Lake, even Gurnee. One notable exception being Necasa Teen Court. It's a program that is diversion from normal punishments per se, and it grants juveniles who have made mistakes, because we all make mistakes at one point or another. So this grants them a second chance to learn from those mistakes as best as they could. In the future, maybe I will continue to show leadership skills by potentially staying in a student council, but I will organize, host events for the high school. And in the far future, maybe I could teach classes in different languages, such as French, maybe Spanish. Maybe I could also lead a group of individuals in an office settings for a big project or something. Maybe even police work. It's a long road. We gotta find out where it takes us.
We always leave Mr. Lagunas for the last so that he can bring some comic relief to the meeting. Thank you, guys. So, as always, thank you. We kind of shifted this a little bit just to give you an understanding of all of their ideas and what their futures have to hold for them, because it's important, because that's the end of the road of where we give them off to the high school and let them continue to shine. And it's fun to listen to all the things they want to do to shine in the future. So I hope you enjoyed a little bit of their flavor of what they believe leadership is, because we talk a lot about what that means to us as middle school students and as someone who has a voice in this world to make change. And one of the things that they definitely have done this year is they have made some change not only in our building, but they've continued to help me change my thinking on a lot of things that we have done for a long time around GMS. And I'm just one part of the group, and it's fun to be around them and see all that they have to offer for their future. So again, thank you very much for your time tonight.
Thank you very much, Wave the Panthers. Does the board members have any comments or questions for our leaders this evening? That is a very cup-filling presentation, and I enjoy hearing that. I love the French too. That's great, and I love hearing the leadership perspectives every time you guys present. It really is something that inspires me, as everybody in this room. So thank you for doing that. Anybody else? Yeah, Ms. Nash.
You guys are so good. Like, you guys are amazing. It doesn't get old, and it's worth repeating to just share how bright I believe our future is every time you guys present. It's outstanding. In the adult world, we call what you guys displayed, which is leading from your seat, right? It doesn't matter if your title, it doesn't matter your rank, but you're doing your part to have impact and influence. And it's remarkable that you're 8th graders, right? So I am inspired that you guys will continue to take this energy into high school. One of the things that happens in high school once you get towards the end, so even farther down the road, is having mock interviews and making sure that you're ready to be able to articulate and present yourself to the outside world, no matter if you're looking to go into career right away or interview at colleges. And you guys got it. Like, you have it now, and you should feel really proud of yourselves. And I am truly inspired by you all. So thank you for being here tonight.
Okay, thank you very much. Our second presentation for the evening is the Fine Arts presentation, so I will turn it over to Mrs. Gluck and team.
Good evening, board, and all the visitors tonight. We are here tonight to provide a fine arts presentation. I have many of our colleagues up here with us. They will introduce themselves when they each come up to the podium to share their slides. Ooh. So I want to start with our mission, and as we're talking about fine arts, it's all about empowering our learners within the classroom and within our schools. And we are creating equity, and we recognize as we're thinking about equity that due to the structures of our schools and the numbers of students at Park versus the number of students at GMS and Frederick, that there are differences and there will be differences. And so even though we know that those structural differences are in place, it doesn't look the same, but all of our students are able to have some opportunities. And so we'll talk about that throughout the presentation tonight. And it also, we had a music concert tonight at the beginning of right before the board meeting. So we are cultivating our community as we are working through here. We will talk tonight about these 4 topics. We're going to provide an overview just of the fine arts courses that we offer within our system and what our participation rates are. We will also spend a little bit of time talking about what the Illinois State Standards share with us related to fine arts. We will share the work and the amazing work of the teams that have been working on this year, and of course, share some student work. So I want to talk a little bit about the course participation. So all of our students in kindergarten through 4th grade, regardless of their school, have 40 minutes a week of music class and 40 minutes a week of art class. You're going to hear about what happens in those classes in a little bit as we start to provide some more information about that. And then our students in grades 5 through 8, all of the students receive either band, choir, or encore for 40 minutes daily. Just as a reminder, encore includes art, music, or STEM. So there are some fine arts in there. So all of our students, K-8, receive fine arts instruction during the school year, regardless of grade level, kindergarten through 8th grade. So we want to make sure that we're focusing on that. This is one of our instructional priorities. And so as we are having conversations about allocation for minutes for any core subject, we are also, in building our schedules, we are also having those same conversations around our fine arts classes. And so what does the allocation of minutes look like throughout the school day, and how will we ensure that we're incorporating those in with these times in mind? So that's really important to us. We also, when we look at student participation, if you look at our school report card last school year, it did say, so our current report card that's up is last school year's data. It did say we had 95% student participation. There was a small number of students in our previous schedule that were receiving intervention during that period instead of going to encore classes. Our new schedule has removed that, so our students still attend encore and still receive intervention. So we have found a way in our new schedule to be able to incorporate both of those. And then all of our fine arts staff are qualified, highly qualified for their positions and with appropriate certifications. So that is also on our school report card. So I want to talk a little bit about our state standards. So just like there are state standards for any content area, this state also provides us with standards specifically for art and music. So when we are looking at these, and this is just one example, there are a lot of them, but this is one example for music, and what you can see is they provide us with an anchor standard that is pretty clear about what it's asking us to instruct. It provides us with essential questions, and then you can see it breaks it down all the way from pre-K, grade by grade, for the skills that students should be working on all the way up to 8th grade. So our teachers then go through that and have some conversation about what does that mean and what does that actually look like in the classroom. And Vanessa's going to talk more about that in a little bit. So this is a music example. And then this is an art example. So again, same thing. You can see that it shows a walks through. So it says like creating on there. There's also performance. It breaks it down. What does that look like? And so again, gives the standard, lists it out, gives some essential questions for us to focus on, and breaks it down for us pre-K through 8th grade. And so now I'm going to turn it over to Mrs. Morales.
Hello and good evening. My name is Vanessa Morales, and I am the assistant principal at Park Campus. And why am I here? Because I help facilitate the conversations with our fine arts staff during our late start. So I'm really proud of the work that they've been doing. So can you click it? So this is an example. This is an example of some of the work that we've been doing this specific school year. So this right here is, we have our K4 standards, in this case for general music. The standards and student-friendly words are on the left, and then as you can see, some of these standards progress vertically. So our teachers have really put a lot of work to see, okay, what are we doing, for example, in kindergarten with this standard, and how are we progressing in 1st grade, and then and so on and so forth. So this is just one example of that. And then we're also identifying when are they going to be teaching it and which trimester, so that we make sure that we are assessing it accurately. And this is another example, but this one's for 5th and 8th grade. Very similar. Now the difference is that in 5th through 8th grade, students rotate through the different encore, so they would be assessed based on the encore, the trimester that they are taking that class in. But it's a very similar model. As you can see, a lot of these standards are aligned vertically, but the teachers are identifying how they are progressing year after year, because the standard may be similar, may be the same, but they are going deeper every single year.
Good evening. My name is Jeanette Johnson, and I'm one of the band directors here at Frederick. We'd like to talk to you a little bit about band in 5th grade, our recruitment and our retention rates. We have seen a steadily increasing recruitment number since COVID, which is fantastic. And some of our recruitment strategies include individualized instrument tryouts to make sure that student is on the correct instrument and can find success in that, along with in-person sign-up nights. We find, like, we can get parents with some questions, or kids maybe want to try a different instrument, and so we can answer a lot of questions there and get students successfully signed up. We do have high retention rates, and students have a very strong rapport with all of their directors, which keeps them engaged, motivated, and excited to continue their musical journey. Specifically at Frederick, we kind of dug into our archives of our signups, and here we went all the way back to 2013 and 2014 school year. So trying to explain this briefly to you, the top is the school year. The second column down is the description of like the learning environment, this kind of shows our trends throughout the past decade. And then the 5th grade beginning band students to 6th grade beginning band, or 6th grade cadet band, excuse me, students, and the retention rate that we have been able to keep our students for both years. So if you follow the color-coded years, so for example, 2013, 2014, we had 138 5th grade beginning band students, and then in 6th grade resulted in 121 with an 88% retention rate, which is awesome. Fast forwarding a little bit all the way into the 1920 school year when we had the COVID shutdown, you could see we started with 144, and then after COVID happened, we lost quite a few, understandably so, to 79. But now fast forwarding to this current school year, we started with 165 5th graders and 100 6th graders. So it looks like we are back up to some of our pre-COVID numbers, which is awesome. And if we had to project for next school year, we're looking at 160 to 180 beginners and 135 based on an 82% student retention. This applies to GMS in the sense that GMS is still kind of feeling some of those effects of COVID with their numbers currently. So they haven't fully recovered in regards to their numbers quite yet. But based on these positive trends at Frederick here, we hope to see like in 2 to 3 years that he will go from having 2 ensembles to 3 ensembles once again with 180 to 200 students or so. And then he also mentioned that from 7th to 8th grade is historically around a 90% retention rate as well. So we're very lucky to be able to keep our students and keep them engaged, and we appreciate that. So.
Hi, my name's Savannah Mix. I'm also one of the band directors at Frederick School. I'm briefly going to speak just about our 5th grade band programs across the district. We are at 43% of 5th graders participating in band. All bands across the district, we have 1 morning rehearsal per week, and we have lessons during the school day. Our performances for 5th grade band, we have 3 a year. Usually there's 1 in the beginning, middle, and then the end of the year. We actually just had our final band concert last night, which is very exciting. That is just a brief overview of 5th grade band.
I'm Laura Huber, and I'm one of the band directors over at Park Campus. So for 6th grade band, our concert band, we have daily full band, which was one of the changes for this year, and I can't thank you enough. It's been wonderful to see the growth the students have. Even when they share with choir, we still have our core set of students that become leaders for those that go between the 2 music rooms. And with choir as well, a lot of what they're learning with the music concepts carries over back and forth to each other. So we've been seeing a lot of really positive things going on with that. So we also have weekly pull-out lessons that rotate so they're not missing the same classes week after week. It usually takes 3 to 4 weeks to repeat an academic class pull-out, and that's where we really get the meat of the work done. 32% of 6th graders participate in band. And as far as our performances, we have 3 band concerts per year. Band contests and school events are the, as you may know it as the IGSMA, Illinois Grade School Music Association, organizational and solo and ensemble contest, music in the parks, the Veterans Day assembly performance, and graduation performance.
Sure. So within the 7th and 8th grade band, 20% of our 7th graders and 17% of our 8th graders district-wide are participating in band. You'll see that we have different levels of band and different options for band. The symphonic band at both Park and GMS. Jazz band is currently at GMS and it is in the works to rebuild at Park starting next school year. So stay tuned for more information about that. Wind ensemble also at GMS. So that's 7th and 8th grade band. In addition, Annual performance opportunities may include any or all of these that are up here, many of the same ones that you just heard from 6th grade, in addition to some jazz contests and festivals and musical pit bands. So lots of things that are happening for 7th and 8th grade. I'm going to turn it over, I think, to Julie.
Hello, my name is Julie Tijanko, and I teach choir and general music at Park Campus. I'm going to talk a little bit about what happens in choir in our district. In 5th and 6th grade at Frederick, they have 2 separate choirs, and then we also have choir in 5th and 6th grade and 7th and 8th grade at Park, and then there's 2 choirs at GMS. And within those choirs, we have anywhere from 2 to 4 concerts per year, depending on which school you're at. We also participate in Illinois Grade School Music Association, solo and ensemble, and their district contest. And I know that at Frederick, they also had a school solo and ensemble for those students, since it's their first time being introduced to singing a solo or singing in a small group, which can be a little bit frightening at first. We like to focus on music theory and really getting those kids learning how to read the music, not just hearing it and repeating it. So this year we have been really working on redoing our sight reading and really focusing on having those students have the opportunity to better not only their singing, but also just their musicality within their performances. We also make sure that we do a lot of performance reflection, listening to what they've done, taking the time after a performance to kind of say what went really awesome, what's something we can take away from this and see how we can improve for our next performance. And there are also some opportunities for after-school small chamber choirs. And there's some pictures of our different various performance opportunity. The Senior Center, which is something that Frederick does, music in the parks, and solo and ensemble, all the fun. And I'm going to stay, because I'm going to talk to you about general music, because I also get to teach general music, which I absolutely adore. In K-4 general music at the elementary schools and at Park, we have an opportunity for spring showcases in 1st through 4th grade. This is a great time for the students to get up and show their parents different things that they've done in the music classroom. We like to incorporate music, instruments, and music from around the world, and just singing and lots of fun. And it's just like I said, an awesome time for the community to come together and support these kids and for them to show all their hard work. We like to take the time to make sure students are using movement in class a lot, get them moving and learning about the music and different concepts than just sitting and listening, to explore melodic contour, loud, soft, fast, slow, and just form of music. So the basics that we start in kindergarten, but by the end in like 4th grade, they can use some really cool music words to describe those things. We also make sure we use a lot of our classroom instruments that are pitched, like a xylophone, a metallophone, and unpitched instruments such as drums, maracas, all the fun things that the students really enjoy using. And we use those to teach rhythm, to teach pitch, to teach steady beat. That's just a simple thing, but at kindergarten level, it takes a little while to learn. We also, in 3rd and 4th grade, students learn to play, and in 5th grade, because I teach 5th grade as well, the students learn to play the recorder, which is an awesome opportunity. I personally love it because it uses all those things you've been working on between learning to read rhythms and learning to read notes on the staff and putting it all together, and the kids get to make their own music that way. Just last week, we were doing recorder compositions, and my little 3rd and 4th graders were making their own recorder songs. It was rather loud in my classroom that day, but they came out with some really cool songs. This week they wrote them out on the staff, and they were really excited to take them home and present them to their parents because they were composers. We also love to make sure we are singing music and exposing students to music from around the world. And finally, we do like to use adaptive equipment to allow accessibility for every student in our class to be successful.
Okay, again, Laura Huber at Park Campus. I also have the privilege of teaching 7th, 8th grade Music Encore, which we just started back because we are one district, one direction. And the kids have really enjoyed that. And I also teach this class in an adaptive setting for the mile classrooms as well. So some of the things we do, They do learn to play piano proficiently enough that they can write their own music and make their own compositions. Same thing with the guitars. They're just, again, we graduate up each year, so they can get a little more experience on each one. And I think we have some pictures of some of the 5th grade as well on their recorders, practicing for performance assessments. And we have world music that they do learn, American music that they learn the history, geography about. We have a little video. My 8th graders were learning about Australian music, and they created their own Australian bull roars. If he'll get it. So this is an Australian Aborigines instrument. So everything's made out of nature, and they were able to carve it, sand it, decorate it, and put the string on to where it can make the music, and it has to be the right way, or it won't make that sound. Okay. Any questions? Okay. Thank you.
Not yet. No, you're next. What? You're up. You're up.
Am I up?
Oh, wait, no, not yet. Hold on, sorry. We have one more to do. One more. Oh, the musicals. Do you want to do this one or you want me to? Oh. I'm going to keep asking.
I will talk about our musicals as well. Something that's great that we are able to offer kids at GMSN Park are plays and musicals. And I have the privilege of directing the musical at Park along with Laura Huber. And this year at Park, we did Little Mermaid for our musical, and we had about 80 kids in that one, as well as Channeling Grimm for our play, which is a great story that got all confused with fairy tales. And GMS this year did Beauty and the Beast, and for their play, they did Wizard of Oz. And we had over 250 students involved between the two schools in the plays and musicals, which is really just a great outlet for them to have after school activities that they just enjoy doing. So.
Save the best for last, just kidding. Good evening, my name is Tina Baldwin, and I am the kindergarten through 8th grade art teacher at Park Campus. I'm very happy to represent an extremely diverse, talented group of teachers and even more talented students. We have 2 primary goals. One is make a lot of art. We did get to bring you some samples today, and we have posted them kindergarten through 8th grade in chronological order. We do work a lot in 3D, but they're a little harder to haul over for a school board meeting, so we get there dirty. A lot of these are taken directly from our community art show. We are very blessed to be able to share our students' talents with the entire community as part of Student Art Month at the Grays Lake Library. And then parents can come and see their talents displayed more work and during their their school shows. And just started this year, thankfully have partners with the high school to try and show students how they can continue that learning beyond our doors, which is a great part. Our K through 4th grade artists come to us once a week. And I don't get to show you how much fun that they are having with still pictures, but I wanted to tell you that if you were to come to my 2nd grade art class tomorrow, they might come in walking like this because they know we do a hand motion, vocabulary, movement break, and review. So we start with vertical, and my 2nd graders are really good. They'll keep it going through all of our vocabulary words. And then they get to also tell you, where does Mrs. Baldwin like to get ideas from? And they will all tell you that I do like to get it from our books, from our illustrators. I have found a wonderful story called Peanut Butter and Jellyfish about inclusion, among other things, and then we get to make a nice skill builder practice, so we're working on the foreground tomorrow. So K through 4 is a lot of verbal discussion of our artwork. And I just wanted to share with you this really culminating event that happens in our 8th grade classes. Our 5th through 8th graders start working on using that vocabulary to create artist statements and portfolios. So what I have here for you is an 8th grader's portfolio slide of their character presentation. One of our big 8th grade standards is that they can create clear and compelling presentations, a way that they could use their art skills, I think, no matter where they go in the rest of their lives and their careers. So they were challenged to create an original character. We talked about juxtaposition and personification. They got to choose what tools to illustrate their characters. So we had time to talk about what are your strengths and where do you want to take risks for this project. And then I did ask them to present it in a single digital format. And this student just wowed me. I got to hear from her just through this artist statement, not something that she talked about during class, that she has had this character in her mind since 2nd grade and found a way to actualize it. I'm also happy to share with you that she recorded her editing process. So we talked about when you're presenting an idea, how to get a viewer's attention, how to direct their eye around a presentation and leave them wanting more. So Penelope's name ended up in the spotlight, and the text box became more of, the story became more of her presentation. And it's just an absolute pleasure to hear that I've enabled one of our students to actualize their imagination and visualize it. And I am grateful that I feel like they're ready to keep going with these concepts. So thank you all for letting us share these amazing creative human beings that we have. Thank you.
So what you've been hearing about is you've been hearing about how we've taken those state standards that I talked about earlier and incorporated those into what's happening within our classrooms. And so as I shared earlier, all of our students have opportunities and are able to participate in our fine arts every year through their K-8 experience. So we're really excited about that, and we will take any questions that you might have.
Thank you very much. I'll open it to board members for questions, comments.
I have a question. It sounds like there's a degree of collaboration between the different levels and the different schools. How often do you take time to collaborate, or how often are you able to find time to collaborate?
Yeah, that's a great question. So right now we collaborate during our late starts, and so that's what Vanessa was sharing, that she's been facilitating this school year. So that's a really big purpose of our late starts, is to provide that opportunity. In addition to that, I think almost all of the different content areas in fine arts had release days this year too. In fact, everybody did. Some were today. So when we need to have more collaboration to be able to articulate, just like we do for literacy or math or science or social studies, we do the same thing for any of our classes.
Thank you. So first of all, I'm sorry that I had to walk out in the middle of your presentation. I've been really looking forward to hearing all of it. So thank you for putting it together. I know this is a busy time, and I appreciate that you put the extra time in to come tell us what's been going on. So thank you, first of all. And then I have a few questions. I've been reading more about the Fine Arts Indicator that ISB has been deliberating since 2017, I believe. And they suggest 3 monitoring criteria because, at least for a lot of reasons, but one of them is to make sure that the fine arts are a core competency, not an extra competency. And so I'm just going to ask about those 3 because I think those provide quite a distinction among our district. So the first one is participation. can you speak to the number of students that have access to a fine arts class, but not including STEAM or STEM because STEM is not?
Right. So even not including STEM, 100% of our students. So, and that's,
100%?
yeah, so that's what I was sharing at the beginning, that last year's schedule, it was 95% was the indicator that was shared through our report card, because there was a small group of students that were missing encore to go to intervention. We fixed that with our new schedule, and so this year we have 100% of our students are accessing fine arts at least one trimester during the year.
At least one trimester a year, okay. And then the second is quality, and they ask to measure the number of students who have access to teacher, in their fine arts classes, how many of those teachers are certified fine arts teachers?
100%.
100% for that as well. Fantastic. And then the third indicator is student voice. And so I'm curious, how does student voice play into evaluating the fine arts program?
Yeah, so we're talking with our students.
Talking about
We're always talking with our students. And so I know that I think some of our even student representatives today are ready to talk a little bit about their experiences in fine arts as well. But yeah, we're reaching out to be able to communicate with our students as much as we can.
Okay. And then just one more thing. I really appreciated hearing about the SEL, the social emotional learning competencies woven into the art classes. It's just, I've been reading more and more about how fine arts, music, and visual arts, but are so important for those competencies. So thank you for sharing that example in particular.
Yeah.
Ms. Braden?
I don't have questions, just sincere thanks. First of all, for everything. It's so exciting to see and have experienced and as a parent as well, but also just for putting the work into this presentation, gathering all the data in a very busy time of the year, and being here at 7 o'clock at night. Thank you so much. It was really, really wonderful, though, and really, really appreciated just seeing it all come to life. So thank you.
Mr. Weidman, did you have anything? No?
I think that our,
Yes,
I think.
go ahead. Augustine, yes.
So I just want to say that the Fine Arts program is a very well-crafted and very, very cool kind of program. This stuff has made a lot of friendships and stuff. It's really cool, like, to get around, even if you are like proficient in the skill or like haven't practiced it very often. It's good to come with your fellow classmates to do something unique. And so we also appreciate the presentation. We loved watching it.
Thanks.
Ditto. I don't think I can add anything to that statement, but I appreciate the presentation and knowing that art and music and everything has impacted our kids. It's fantastic.
Yeah.
Yes. Yes. Suri, I think it is. No, you can. Yep, go ahead.
Wait, so I do band, and that's like my favorite thing in school. That's what I get excited for, to go to like every day to school. I think the band program is really good because it's like, I like the band director. Mr. Thomas is like the best band director I've known, and well, he like shows us how to like improve, and he like when we're down, he like shows us how to do it and how to fix and do it better. Also, for band, the programs, I like going to like ISMA and like to music in the parks because it's like fun experience, and then you make like new friendships, connections of like other people too. And that's.
Thank you, Suri. Thank you very much, Layla.
So I do choir and musical theater and regular theater, and for me, it's all about like building friendships and new bond, and it's a lot of like different learning experience I get from it. I remember that, and I used to do band, and seeing one of my old band directors, I remember like in choir, a lot of things that I took from that is like we still have to read music, and I remember being told that for the staff it was all girls served by, oh my gosh, I can't think now.
Yeah, there we go. Every girl buys designer footwear. And to this day, I still remember that. And what made me think about it was when I saw your shoes. So I'm always thinking about that when because I still play the flute, and I still, and I play and I'll do that, and I think about it when I'm doing choir, and it's just, I feel like it's a big learning experience to be with people who like love the same things that you do, and to like get to enjoy that every single day, and just like to take a break from regular like structured school.
Awesome. Thanks.
Wonderful. Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, that brings us to the next section on the agenda, which is this evening's board reports. I'll start down on this end of the table. Mr. Weidman, nothing. Ms. Halverson.
No.
Mrs. Miller.
So, last week I attended ISB's listening session on the redesign of the school report card, and particularly was interested in the fate of the arts indicator, but was listening to the whole redesign process, and thought I would just share a little bit about what I learned. There's five indicators. Let me back up. There's 5 criteria that each indicator has to meet based on ESSA, which is the funding. The fine arts indicator was slated to be part of the school report card. However, it doesn't meet one of the criteria. So they created the arts indicator, they kind of piloted it on the school report card and found out that there were some flaws in it. And so it's in iteration. And they're looking for feedback about not only that indicator, but the whole redesign process. And they also have intention to go back to the indicator, the fine arts indicator, but they've not scheduled that yet. They're focused on a couple other priorities. So if you are interested in providing feedback for the school report card redesign, there is, there's a public comment time from now until July. And you can email questions or concerns to an email address that I will send to you instead of saying it out loud. And then there's also a survey that you can fill out for that, and it also includes foreign language. There are a few other indicators on that. One of their goals is to make this more usable to school boards and to have non-teaching staff use this report card as opposed to some other less credible school comparison resources that are out there on the net. So I thought, again, I would just highlight that there is an opportunity for public comment and public feedback for the next few months.
Ms. Braden?
Just a very quick add-on to the arts students who are still here. What I wanted to talk about, I recognized a couple folks who were at the Grays Lake North Muse Festival last week. I was there, and GMS Jazz Band performed, so it was really cool to see the jazz band performing at the high school venue, and I think one of the soloists was here earlier, so please pass on my brava to her on the saxophone. And then I also found out that there was a collaboration between Avon Young Artists and the North High School artists. Avon artists drew monsters, and then the high school artist created 3D sculpture of those artists. And I just was really happy to see how the two districts are collaborating, and that ability for mentorship and learning across the districts. So I thought it was really great.
Thank you. Mrs. Nash?
Yes, I want to give a shout out to our community partner in the spirit of partnerships, the Grays Lake Area Public Library. So we, as part of the Fine Arts update, we heard about, how this wonderful art is on display through the community there. And I don't know how often folks drop into the library. I know growing up, it was a thing like, only if I have to go. I just want to shout out that the Grace Lake Area Public Library is absolutely amazing. If you haven't been in some time, it's worth the drop-in. There's computer labs, there's printing services, there's services for small businesses. It's bigger than just, checking out books. There's a lot of economic pressure on a lot of our purses, things that we're buying daily, like entertainment-wise. There is so much that you can access by way of streaming services, e-tools, even gaming devices through the library. So I don't want that to be an unforgotten gem, right? Like as we, hang out there and go to the art shows, like tap into it for all the value that it has because it's amazing. And again, they're a great community partner. They also are partnering with the Juneteenth Walk this year. So GAPL.
Okay. And I'll wrap up. I know that we are a week after this, but last week was Teacher and Staff Appreciation Week, and I want to shout out to all the teachers and educators and staff members and O&M, everybody across the school district and all schools around the state that care for our kids and work with our kids and our families and our communities. You're appreciated. My colleagues and I on the Board of Education appreciate you, everything that you do. Our student leaders, thank you for taking early leadership opportunities because you will be sitting in these chairs one day when we are gone. And just I hope everybody enjoyed a wonderful expression of appreciation that we can never quite fully 100% appreciate you, but we do. So thank you for that. And that wraps up our board reports, and I'll hand it over to Dr. Glickman for the superintendent's report.
Thank you, Dr. Mack. Well, first I'd like to address two groups of students. I'd like to welcome our students from Central. We're glad you're here. Please tell your friends, and we're guessing they had some homework they needed to do, additional homework. Tell them we're glad that they were here. And our GMS students, I have to say, your presentation was truly remarkable tonight. Mr. Smith, when you said you were going to do something a little bit different with this presentation, I was already excited, and that was just fantastic. And I want you to know, and please share this with your friends and colleagues, that listening to you talk about leadership and your definitions of leadership, it lines up so much with the leadership that the adults in your school district talk about all the time. So we are right there with you, and I share your excitement, Dr. Mack, and I think Mrs. Braden, you said it as well, on what the future holds with people like you in charge. So thank you for your work. And speaking of educators and leaders, I want to talk about some leader educators that we have. So we have some slides to show, I believe. I think it was the slides that Dr. Yes, thank you. So last week was the Lake County Educator of the Year award ceremony. In front of you, you can see the pictures of 6 remarkable staff members from our school district. These 6 people were all nominated for different awards. We had Michelle Williams from Park Campus, nominated as Classroom Elementary Teacher of the Year. Yvonne Schmid from GMS as the Classroom Middle School Teacher. Diane Hunter, also from GMS, as the Student Support Personnel of the Year. Cindy Lamberti from GMS as an Early Career Educator. I'm going to skip the next one. I'm going back to that one and mentioning Lilia Erb from Prairie View as the Classroom of Diverse Learner Teacher. So all of those individuals were nominated, which is an enormous honor. And the reason I skipped Ms. Jahaira Alvarez from Woodview is that she actually won the award for Educational Service Personnel of the Year. Yeah, Jahaira is the head custodian at Woodview and is just a fantastic leader in our school district, and it was such an honor to be there with her. So thank you to all of those fantastic educators and our entire team of wonderful staff members in our district. And I'm going to hand it over to Dr. Wolk.
Could you please go to the next
Yeah,
slide?
another slide, yeah.
Thank you. I have the privilege tonight of recognizing our 19 retirees this year. I'll be reading their names, their school, and the year that they began with the district. Ellen Bergstrom, GMS 2002. Debbie Brown, Park 2000. Leah Brown, Early Childhood 2006. Cheryl Brzezinski, the newest one to our group, to our district in this group, Prairie View 2018. Beth Effa, GMS 2007. Tina Fieger, Prairie View 2004. James Foley, GMS 1995. Diane Hunter, GMS 1995. Lori Isaacs, Avon 2009. Shalali Jaswani, Prairie View 2003. Lori Lambie, Woodview 2002. Mr. L, Mike Lisadello, Meadowview 2002. Kim Miller, GMS 2001. Laura Morgan, Meadowview 1994. Jennifer Schwarzbach, Frederick 2006. Manuel Soto, Park 1996. Margarita Soto, Prairie View 2002. Mimi Webster, Prairie View 2003. And Christine Wilson, Avon 2007. So congratulations to all these people who are retiring this year. It's very well deserved. They've put in a lot of time with our district, and we'll be sad to see them go.
Thank you, Dr. Wolk. And board, I just want to mention that we do have a retirement event on May 28th at 4 p.m. I believe you've already gotten invitations, but Mrs. Walker will send you another invitation, and please let her know if you'd like to come. We'd love to see you there. All right, so board, as you know, we are hard at work planning the work for our renovations of all of our media centers. And so in the middle of the summer, in our July board meeting, we will have our architects come and do a full presentation for you regarding where we are with that work. But we thought leading up to that, it would make sense just to give you little bits of information about where we are. So we're gonna do that just through the superintendent's report until we get to the middle of July. So I'm gonna hand it over to Amy Gluck.
Thanks. So good evening again. Some members of the WOLD team have been meeting with user groups, and those user groups are made up of the building principal and then some staff from the building, as well as Mrs. Pelser and I at times. And they have been they have had 2 user group meetings at Meadowview, Park Campus, Prairie View, and Frederick at this time. And those meetings have been focused specifically on reviewing the plans that they brought here at their last meeting when they came to show you what they had started to design. And those groups are providing input for what makes sense for the specific sites and the specific buildings. And then as they do that, then they go make some changes, and they went back, and they're coming back both for their 3rd meeting this week on Thursday and Friday. So that is that's where we're at right now, and I know at the next meeting we'll have some more updates since we have another meeting with them. I'm gonna keep going. I also want to share with you tonight about, as you know, we will be implementing a new math resource next school year. And so we've already begun training staff. And so we're really excited about that. Every staff member who will be teaching math received something either during the April late start or during a release day in early May. And we will continue to have some optional work times over the summer with more official training, and then more official training for our support staff as well as our certified staff in August when we come back for our Institute days. So seems like a long time away, but it's not. And then the last thing I want to share with you is about our advanced math class process. So we have started that as well. All of our 4th graders, every single 4th grader was given the advanced math placement assessment, and so that we could give them an opportunity. As you know, our advanced level classes start in 5th grade. And so they took that assessment the last week in April. We are working through grading all of those. And then in addition, we took our spring math assessment last week. And with that MAP assessment, once all the classes completed the math map, we reviewed student data in grades 5 through 7, so our current 5th through 7th graders, to see who we might want to screen further to advance a level in math. So that is both for our students that are in at level, as well as our students in advanced, to see if they're ready to go up another level. And then in addition to that, we gathered some input from classroom teachers, and we're starting those assessments right now. So we have quite a long list of students that we are assessing and seeing if they're ready to move up to have some more challenge in math class. So we're really excited about that.
Thanks, Mrs. Gluck. I'm going to hand this over to Dr. Lorenzo, who has some nice news to share.
Good evening, everyone. We receive funding for PFA, which stands for Preschool for All, and that is funding to provide services for 3 to 5-year-olds in our program who are considered at risk. And that grant funding comes with a monitoring visit every 3 years, which we call an audit. It functions as an audit of our programming. And that includes a desk or file review and also classroom observations for our environment and our programming and practices. Jana Donahue worked really closely with our teachers this year to prepare, which comes with a lot of stress and pressure, and we are so relieved to have received our audit findings and results, and we are just doing phenomenal. And it has abundantly affirmed that we provide incredible services and programming to our youngest students in our community. So I wanted to celebrate that for you all.
Huge celebration. Thank you very much, Heather. And finally, board, you may remember a few board meetings ago, you accepted the donation from an anonymous donor of $20,000 for Woodview's AV equipment. And that incredibly generous donation covered about 2/3 of the cost of the AV equipment that's needed at Woodview. That last third has come in from the also very generous and excited Woodview PTO. They have just donated a check for almost $10,000, and so we're ready to purchase that equipment, and we just wanted to celebrate that with you and let you know. Okay, and that is the end of the superintendent's report this evening.
I'm going to back us up a little bit because I believe it was Augustine about 30 minutes ago who said we all make mistakes sometimes, and I'm going to correct one that I made. I did not allow for proper board reports from our student board members this evening. I got so excited in celebrating your leadership that I did not give you the proper time to share your reports. I apologize, and I yield the floor to our student board members.
So, we have celebrated our fantastic GMS. Oh. Okay. So, we have celebrated our fantastic GMS staff week during the annual Teacher Appreciation Week. And our teachers are celebrated by being part of a full staff raffle. Many thank yous from the families and students, and lots of food. Is it okay if I look? Okay. As part of the week's celebration, 3 GMS staff members were celebrated at the annual Lake County Educator of the Year celebrations. Ms. Dinian Hunter was celebrated as the D46 Support Personnel of the Year. Ms. Yvonne Schmid was celebrated as D46 School Educator of the Year. And Ms. Cindy Lamberti was celebrated as the D46 Early Career Educator of the Year. I'd also like to celebrate and thank the 5 GMS retiring teachers from GMS. We want to thank Ms. Kim Miller, Ms. Ellen Bergstrom, Mr. James Foley, Ms. Diane Hunter, and Ms. Beth Effa for your years of service to D46 and GMS. Good luck. And we'd like to wish you well in your retirements. That's it.
Congratulations to the GMS, to our GMS for our Sportsmanship Award from the IESA. This is a great recognition for all of the hard work and dedication of our athletes, coaches, athletic workers, and families. Congratulations also to all of our band and choir members for their recent accomplishments at their state competition and at the recent Great America competition. All of our performers showed off GMS in the best ways. Congratulations to all of our track and field conference champs from last weekend. Farrah Foster, who came in second place for hurdles, Micah Miller, who came in second place for boys hurdles, Tyler Shore, who came in second place for the 200-meter dash, Kennedy Pendleton, who came in first place for the 400-meter dash, Molly Hun, who came in second place for the mile run, Daphne Shields, who came in first place for shot put and discus, Jackson Boma, who came in first place for high jump, which was the second best in his school history, Alyssa Bischoff, who came in second place for high jump, and the 7th grade girls 4x1 relay, who came in second place, the 7th grade girls 4x4 relay, who came in first place, and the 8th grade boys 4x4 relay that came in second place and is a school record. Good luck to all of our track and field athletes at the sectional competition that takes place this Saturday. Anyone winning their events or meeting the qualifying times this weekend will qualify for state and for track and field competition that takes place May 23rd and 24th.
We are excited to remind everyone that our graduation will take place on Sunday, June 1st at 11:30 a.m. at Grace Lake North. Although we are sad to go, we're ready to take our next step into high school. We also have our dance next Friday, May 23rd. The Way of the Panther team is busy working on planning for our new 7th graders to enter GMS. We will be facilitating our 7th grade orientation next week. We are doing something a bit different for the orientation, and we will be visiting our incoming 7th graders at Frederick and facilitating an information field for fun assemblies to welcome the new Panthers to their 7th grade school year. We're looking forward to giving them a great orientation and a great start to their middle school experience at GMS.
Wonderful. Thank you very, very much, and I appreciate your grace and forgiveness in my little faux pas. There's a little bit of French for you there, Augustine. Okay. All right, that brings us to the consent agenda. I need a motion to approve this evening's consent agenda, which included the personnel addendum that was sent to us earlier.
I'll move.
I'll second.
Okay.
Braden?
Aye.
Nash?
Aye.
Hune? I'm sorry, she left. Halverson?
Aye.
Miller? Aye. Mack?
Aye.
And Weedman?
Aye.
Okay, very good. Thank you very much. We've got a few action items to take care of this evening. So first on the list, I need a motion to approve the board meeting calendar for the 2025-2026 school year.
I'll move.
I'll second. Okay.
Weedman?
Aye.
Miller? Aye. Mack?
Aye.
Nash?
Aye.
Braden?
Aye.
And Halverson?
Aye.
Very good. Motion approved. Second on our list, I need a motion this evening to approve the PSRP bargaining agreement.
Second.
Dr. Wolk, would you like to say a few words?
I would be happy to.
Thanks.
And these words were crafted prior to seeing my friends in the audience tonight. So, we've come to, it was a fairly short bargaining session with our PSRP group, very proactive, very positive, and I think we came to a very nice agreement with them, and I'm excited to continue working with them.
Excellent. Okay.
Okay. Braden?
Aye.
Halverson?
Aye.
Miller? Aye. Mack?
Aye.
Weedman?
Aye.
And Nash?
Aye.
Wonderful. Motion approved. Next on our list, I need a motion to approve the exempt employee compensation.
I'll move.
I'll second.
Okay.
Halverson,
Aye.
Mack,
Aye.
Braden,
Aye.
Miller, Nash,
Aye.
and Weedman.
Aye.
Very good, motion approved. Next on the list, I need a motion to approve a one-year food service contract with Organic Life.
So moved.
I'll second.
Okay.
Okay. Mack,
Aye.
Braden,
Aye.
Halverson,
Aye.
Miller, Weedman,
Aye.
and Nash.
Aye.
Good, motion approved. Next on the list, I need a motion to approve the Board of Education's opposition to any request or petition from Fremont School District 79 to annex land into the boundaries of Community Consolidated School District 46.
I'll move.
Dr. Glickman?
I can talk about that a little bit. And Dr. Mack, I just want you to know, we tried very hard to figure out how to shorten the name of that, but that was it. That was the best we could do. So a little explanation, Board, and I know you've heard about this from me. The school district received an inquiry from Fremont District, School District 79, regarding whether our school district would be willing to annex vacant property that's in Fremont right now, but that's currently being planned to be improved with a large-scale residential development of approximately 3,600 housing units. The current estimates are that that development would generate nearly 1,000 new students, resulting in increased capital and operational expenses and efforts that Fremont School District cannot afford or accommodate. This property is not right next to District 46, so it would necessitate annexation of a considerable additional amount of land, thus possibly generating even more students and increased expense and strain on the resources of our school district. So Fremont School District truly cannot afford to create new schools for those 1,000 students, and neither can District 46. The administration and our legal counsel is making the recommendation to the Board of Education that this is not in the best interests of our school district. The proposed annexation of Fremont School District 79 properties does not clearly demonstrate an educational, operational, or financial benefit for CCSD 46 students, families, or taxpayers.
Okay.
Miller?
I'm sorry, and just clarification, because it's such an oddly worded motion, thank you. So if you were to say aye, you are agreeing that we are not accepting this. Did you get me? It's a little backwards.
Right.
Okay.
Miller? Aye. Okay. Nash?
Aye.
Braden?
Aye.
Mack?
Aye.
Weedman?
Aye.
And Halverson.
Aye.
Very good, motion approved. Finally, I need a motion to approve an E-rate switch purchase.
I'll move.
Second.
Do you want
Do you-
explanation?
Sure, if you want to, like.
Yeah.
Yep.
do-
Can I
yes.
share a little
Oh,
information
that's right,
about
yes,
that?
yes.
Sure. So the E-rate program is a federal grant program that provides discount for internet and network hardware. We've used these funds in the past to update our wireless network and some of our switches a few years ago. We are looking to use the rest of the funds in the current cycle to replace the remaining end-of-life network switches. These replacements will happen over the summer while students and the majority of staff are out of the buildings.
Okay.
Nash?
Aye.
Braden?
Aye.
Miller? Aye. Mack?
Aye.
Halverson?
Aye.
And Weedman.
Aye.
Okay, motion approved. That is the end of the action items. We do have one thing listed under our unfinished business, which is a safety and security update. Handing that over to Dr. Glickman.
While we're getting
or
that
Mr.
started,
Wildman? Yep.
I just want to comment to our student board members that I know during a board meeting you're often wondering, what's the thing I might comment upon during a board meeting? This might be the thing. So as you're watching this presentation, you may find some pieces that you may have some thoughts about. Okay.
This is the Safety and Security Committee update, and we shall be giving a full update of the Safety and Security's progress over the last year for you, the Board of Education, and the entire community. Just a little bit about the Safety and Security Committee itself. It's made up of teachers, it's made up of administrators, it's made up of support staff, and we do, on occasion, have guests from the Grays Lake Police, the Round Lake Beach Police, the Round Lake Police and Fire Departments when we're seeking their input. The mission, we frequently discuss this mission at the committee itself, really the developing of the cultivation of a community of safety for all our students and our staff. We're governed by board policy. Board policy is the backbone of all school districts, and we're guided by board policy 4.10 and 4190. In terms of the value statements, really discovering innovative opportunities in a way that we uphold the values of the district is through this committee work. A lot of what we look into is research based and eventually makes its way to the Board of Education. So this is us acting in a way to be innovative in ways to improve our safety and security. So here's the agenda for today. We're going to talk about ALICE briefly, which is existing. We're going to talk about its continuation. We're going to talk about the long-range facilities plan, which is something that was presented to you last year. The physical security assessments, which were from May of last year, and their progress. Some tabletop exercises, which we are doing for the Safety and Security Committee and our leadership. And then my colleague is going to talk about an emergency response system and our next steps for the committee. So we continue to be an ALICE district. ALICE is an active shooter response program that consists of awareness, communication, and response options. So if you take those acronyms, you can spell ALICE. It's a valuable tool because it empowers both our staff and students to actively participate in their safety. It's research-based, it's trauma-informed, and it's age-appropriate because in teaching the response options, we don't actually teach the counter to any of our elementary students. Okay, so this is a slide that was presented during the referendum discussions with the community. It was something that I think myself and Dr. Glickman presented many times, so we got to look at this. In the bottom right, you can see safety and security. Safety and security was in the ballot initiative language, which was successfully passed in March of 2024, and we brought forward that in June 29th to the board in looking at how we were going to put in place the funds from the referendum. So what you can look at in yellow is the intercom and clock replacement. Updating intercoms is obviously part of that alert and inform that we just looked at. Camera improvements, which is we currently have cameras at GMS, Grays Lake Middle School, at Park and Frederick, and that will be camera improvements for all the other buildings. Access control improvements, actually going with a card system, which will replace all the locks that we currently have, all the keys. And then an emergency management system, which I'm going to actually explain what it is, because it's a digital platform designed to help schools prepare and respond to and recover from a wide range of emergency systems. And Amanda's going to talk to you a little bit about that. All right, the physical security assessments. After the referendum was passed, we needed a roadmap to be able to think about what we were going to do as part of that safety and security journey. So we reached out to a company, which we were able to get Paul Tim, who's a very, very prominent, well-known security expert in K-12 environments in schools. He came in, he walked all our buildings, and he gave a report for each of those buildings. They were shared with all the principals have them, and then we were able to, as a leadership team, to discuss priorities in terms of what's the highest priority, what's the low-hanging fruit, and what's things which need further discussion. So the things which have been accomplished and addressed this year, we've we've mapped all the rooms out, all the buildings. I've had new maps. They've been shared and they're under review currently with building leadership. We had some recommendations about how to improve our visitor management system, which we currently already had in place, and that's with Raptor. We're going to mention Raptor later. He had some feedback about how we actually run our recess monitoring, and so those were all put in place. Those included high visibility vests for all of our teachers and making sure that they're all being worn at the time, because they weren't, and so that was something that was put in place. And so a lot of cultural enhancements were being taken place. Telephone enhancements to making sure that an all call could be done through the system, updating our emergency supplies, and then locked and closed classrooms, which I'll talk about in the next slide. So one of the things he recommended was to actually have locked and closed classrooms. So we're very, very proud to state that all our classrooms are currently doing that. Teaching with locked doors, I'm just reading out his words. I'm not going to read the whole thing, it's a lot. Teaching with doors locked and closed is the safest way to operate. And that's shown in lots and lots of research, and we're very proud to say that we followed that through. Things that we're still looking at: intercoms, video surveillance, our alarm systems, window film. We're working with our architects for that, outdoor lighting, and some other areas of parking, striping, and some shrubbery, which needs to be cleared away from the buildings, which he noticed and put in the reports. And then I just wanted to talk, the next section was tabletop exercises. We regularly do tabletop exercises at the Safety and Security Committee because they're a really great way for us to, in a low-risk environment, to be able to test plans, to identify weaknesses, and to improve kind of our overall preparedness. So we do that in a way that it's a scenarios given to the group. We will talk through it, and then we debrief afterwards. And so we've been doing more of those, both at the Safety and Security Committee and at leadership. I'm now going to pass it on to the emergency management system.
Thank you, Chris. So in our middle of the year meeting, we had started to implement this school year a system that was provided by Lake County ROE for emergency management. And unfortunately, we found lots of issues with it as we started to implement, and we ran test drills. And so we tasked this committee with trying to find the right solution for our district. We discussed what the different priorities are. This is an example, this is the rubric that we created with those priorities. So making sure that the system functions and is reliable, that it can allow for operational continuity, it allows for multiple different methods of communication, that it's easy to use, because in an emergency you need something that is going to be really easy to use. We wanted to also make sure that it integrated with the other systems that we already had in place. And we wanted to ensure that there was training and support available to really make sure the system worked. So we created this rubric from discussions that we had, and we invited 5 different vendors to come in and share their emergency management systems. So you might have seen Raptor before, noticed and mentioned in this presentation. We already use their visitor management system. We also invited Centegix, Navigate 360, Bluepoint, and Crisis Go. So after seeing these presentations, the Safety and Security Committee members used the rubric we created to evaluate each of them. And the highest rated systems were Raptor and Bluepoint. So Raptor is an end-to-end emergency management system. It will, it allows for badges for teachers anywhere in the building to be able to start an alert. It allows for communication during an emergency. And it also, in the case of needing to relocate students, will allow us to reunify students with their parents. So it manages the whole emergency. Bluepoint is a little bit of a different system than Raptor. So you'll see a blue pole station up there. It looks very much like a fire pole. So it is a pole station that are fixed in different areas of the building and can be pulled when we want police to show up instead of fire, or maybe with fire. Emergency people, please come help us. So those are the two systems that were highest rated. So the next steps is after looking at all of the different information and the feedback from the committee members, we are looking to hopefully implement the Raptor emergency management system for next school year. You'll notice there's an agenda item that matches this presentation. Then we're going to continue to implement and evaluate the assessment findings, and then continue to utilize tabletop exercises for school leadership and staff. And as we implement that Raptor system, we're going to evaluate it and make sure that it's meeting our needs and see if we need to layer in some of the Blue Point system. Any questions?
Any questions from the board? Students?
Well, that two high. You said the two highest rated were Raptor and Blue Point. You said, and Blue Point was. I saw you had a medical pole lever too. So, if we needed two emergency services or all three of them, would we pull one or like all three of them at the same time, or?
I think it's dependent on the emergency.
Mm.
So a red pole is going to pull the fire. If you pull the blue, it brings a high level police response, so which wouldn't be appropriate if you were in a medical. So really, it would depend on whatever the circumstances is. Clearly, they will all come, but wouldn't be ideal to use the blue pole for a medical emergency because we'd have to stop them because the police would be on their way.
Okay.
Yes. Yes. As my colleague just said, it's really for a violent critical incident to stop a bad person doing something really bad in a school system.
Okay.
Can I add something to that? So the Blue Point is also, you'll see them when you get to the high school. They're all over in the high school. It is also, in the event that it's a lay person in a hallway that has no idea where they're at in the building, and you have a medical emergency, they will identify the location where that pull station is, so people can go to where that pull station is directly to get the emergency services. And the fire department, their paramedics will show up for those if those are needed too.
Thanks.
I just wanted to say from the first presentation, I had thoughts based off of two things that I had heard. One being like the fire alarms. Just being in the D46, I've noticed that in a lot of like classrooms, the fire alarms are actually hard to hear. I noticed that from the most recent fire drill we did in the classroom I was in, we couldn't even hear it at all until we stepped out into the hallway, which is kind of a problem. And then for the other thing that I noticed was, this was today actually, I went outside for health today, and since I wasn't dressed, I was wearing like my like sandals or whatever, and me and one of my friends were both wearing sandals, and we were commenting that we kept almost getting stung in the feet because of all like the dandelions all over in the grass, and they're really like tall. So I've noticed a lot of students have been getting stung in the ankles or in the foot because of the fields.
So thank you very much for that feedback, Layla. It's definitely something we want to look into. If you can't hear the fire alarm, we definitely want to make sure that we are safe, and that's really important for us to hear.
Any other comments from student board members? No? All right, thank you very much. Okay, thank you. Okay, that brings us to the new business section of the agenda, which includes the emergency management system. So that sounds familiar. Does that, okay.
Yes. So as we shared during the presentation, through the process, Raptor really rose to the top as the system that we think will work best for our environment. And so we would like to move forward with implementing that this summer to be ready for when teachers come back in the fall.
So it's our intention to bring an item for, an action item, right, at the next board meeting?
Yep,
Is that
so
correct?
today is for discussion, so
Yeah.
if there's any questions, and then,
Right.
yes.
Board, any questions about that?
Any additional questions or comments about that system?
What
Ms.
are
Knapp?
the, what's the like learning curve for teachers and staff?
There definitely will need to be some training at the beginning of the school year, so we'll work with Mrs. Gluck to figure out how to incorporate that in back to school.
Ms. Nash?
Yeah, this is actually prompted by Layla's insights. And how frequently would our agreement with Raptor include regular testing and quality control for the equipment in the buildings?
That's a great question, and I don't know the answer off the top of my head, but I'm happy to get back to you. It's definitely part of the contract, so I can get that information to you.
Thank you.
And this was the system that was connected to the badge, so teachers are going to
Yes.
physically
so
have something that,
if approved,
Yep.
it kind of looks like a badge that has a
but
button
it's a
on it.
button, okay, okay.
And it can be used in any type of emergency, and it'll
Okay.
go to administrators and then emergency services.
Personnel, okay, okay. Okay. Mrs. Miller?
I'm just curious about what kind of sustainability efforts they've made as a vendor as we're looking at our procurement.
I'm happy to reach out and find out more about that. It's a vendor that we already have in place, so we're using them for our visitor management already, but I can find out more information about that as well.
Okay, thank you. We'll add that to the agenda. Next on the new business is the preliminary budget update. Mr. Wildman.
Oh, it's me again. Okay, what I'm going to discuss will hopefully add some substance to the memo. I'm not going to walk through the memo, but I'm just going to talk a little bit about it. So the administration has been hard at work in building the new budget for 25-26 school year. This starts when we approved the tax levy in November. That was approved in November of 2024. Following approving student fees in November and December, we start to work on enrollment projections, staffing plans with Dr. Wog, capital plans alongside our architects, curriculum resource plans with Mrs. Gluck and all the other things that we've been presented over the last year, and technology planning with Amanda's team. All of these things have two things in common. They relate directly back to the strategic plan goals for each department, and they're all related to supporting our students and learning. So lots of planning goes into the budget in the various forms that I just discussed. In terms of the largest part of the budget, 60% of the budget is salaries and benefits, which is people. Again, I stress this a lot, both at this meeting and in the tentative and the final presentation. We're a people business. And an additional 15% is for outsourced services such as bus transportation, food service, and our nighttime cleaning. So almost 75% of the budget is human resource related. All the positions in the preliminary budget are either currently filled or they are with an individual of what we call TBD. We sign an amount to it. Alongside those plans, the business office meets with all the building and departmental leadership. Those meetings are participatory, and we invite leaders to determine their wants and needs for the upcoming school year. I go into a little bit of detail about that in the memo. Last year, I'm going to jump to right at the end. It's like the murder mystery. You jump to page 6. We presented a $2.7 million deficit. With all the major components in place in preliminary fund, we are looking at a $1.6 million deficit in the operating funds. It's a little different if you look at all funds because we have transfers laid in there, so it looks larger than it is, but looking at an operating deficit, it's $1.6 million. Why do we have a deficit? This is the same story I've been mentioning for the last 3 years. According to the Illinois State Board of Education, the district is 70% funded with a funding gap of $16 million. It's important to remember that we've been looking at actual budget deficits for now the last 3 years, but I'm very glad to say that the limiting rate increase, we anticipate future budgets will be in surplus, which is just fantastic. So I look forward to bringing you the budget in June. That will be a formal presentation. That's when it's formally put on display. That's the 30 days. And then later through the summer, I can update you as things change prior to the hearing.
Very good. Any questions or comments from the board or student board member? Mrs. Miller?
Mr. Wildman, I'm just curious, at what point would you expect us to start seeing a decrease in the deficit, a significant decrease? The reason I'm asking is I'm going to have a very hard time voting for any budget that doesn't have a marked decrease, and just wondering what's a reasonable expectation for that.
So as you know, we have approved deficits, and we've actually seen those deficits, for the last 3 years. And as we know, with the abatement and the actual funds coming in from that limiting rate, we still don't see that increase for another year. So this has to be, the only way we could have balanced this budget would be to have reduced staff. And we didn't think that was the right thing to do, because we just gone to the community and said, hey, we want to invest in our teachers to keep those best teachers in the classroom and do all those things that we talked about in that slide earlier. So this should be the final year of deficits before that additional funding comes, which you voted for, approved, and then with the resolution of the abatement put in place in February. So those two actions, the levy increase and the abatement, will mean that the money arrives the following year, but it means that we will definitely be in surplus those years. Moving forward. This is the final deficit year. I think I'm answering the question. Maybe eventually, but I thought, yes, this should be the final deficit year before the levy limiting rate increase funds are received.
Next school year.
Correct.
Is the last deficit. Not this year, next school.
Next school year.
So this budget will have a deficit, the next budget will not.
Correct.
Okay. Next item under new business is the ticketing and inventory system. Is that Ms. Pelsor?
Yes, that's me. So our current technology and maintenance ticketing system is not meeting our needs. Most importantly, not having an integrated asset and inventory management system is really a detriment and actually like a cybersecurity risk. So we've gathered feedback from teachers through the technology PDT survey, and Jose in the operations and maintenance team and my technology team have been looking at different systems, and we have found that Incident IQ is a system that will best meet our needs. It has that integrated asset management tool, so when tickets come in, we can assign assets and track trends and know when things are having issues, and it's going to be very beneficial for both of our teams.
Very good. Any questions or comments? Yes, Augustine.
No. So what is the cybersecurity risk and how does it work?
That's a great question. So knowing where the tools are and who has them and how they're being used helps us to be able to make sure that they are up to date and have all of the security patches and are able to lock things down if issues do arise. So we can keep cybersecurity incidents contained to one device and not have them spread throughout the network.
Thank you.
Sure.
Thank you. And the final item under new business is discussion of board committees. And I know we talked about, we currently have the policy committee, the finance committee. Is that it? That's it. Community engagement, equity, yes. But those aren't board committees, right, right. So the two we have are the policy committee and the, what did I say? Finance committee, right? And we talked about if that was where we need to be, if we need to have any more, or probably not less. And we're open, it's open table for discussion about that at this meeting. Any thoughts or ideas or initial comments to, or not?
Could I make a, I guess, comment / suggestion for the finance committee at least? I know we were building up quite a bit for the referendum, and that's why we kind of had started that. But I would make the suggestion that once a quarter, that one of the regular board meetings is just finance. That way, everybody can sit at the table and get that information, and it's a quarterly meeting. It's not an extra meeting, it's just a quarterly meeting. It's at 6 o'clock like every other one. That way, everybody at the table gets the same information at the same time. But that'd be just one of the suggestions that I would make with that. Because I think it's slowing down as far as how much we need to go through, right, for the finance? Like topics to discuss. Yeah. I threw him under the bus there.
I think that there are several topics which are what I would call standing topics. So once a year, the district has to have an audit committee, which is in November. The last 3 to 4 years presented financial projections in November. So there are two specific times. Student fees, November, December, they regularly take board time in terms of the discussions about those. So I can think of several topics that are recurring. But yes, there's also things that come up as well, which are more ad hoc, and we just bring someone in to talk at the finance committee.
If I can speak to this for a moment, I think what you are describing, Jim, is what a lot of boards do when they have a committee of the whole structure for their board, right? Typically, when school boards do that, I think they have 2 meetings per month, one of which is a regular board meeting, one of which is a committee of the whole. If the board wants to go in that direction, absolutely, that's something we can do. I think probably we'd have to revisit the board calendar that you've just approved, because the board calendar that you just approved has, I believe it is 6 months that have 2 meetings. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yep, 6 that have 2 meetings in that month. 6 that have only 1. And probably those, as I'm doing a quick look, those 2, the months that have 2 are kind of squished together in some cases. So I'm just mentioning we'd probably have to revisit that. And then I think I would be asking, and then would you also be wanting to have policy be a committee of the whole? Those are just things to consider if you want to go in that direction.
I really like the idea of having a committee of the whole followed by a regular board meeting for a few different reasons, but one of them is making sure there's a regular schedule for our finance committee in particular, and I suppose and policy. Just knowing that it's coming and knowing that there's a regular rotation would be really helpful in preparing. But also, I think these committees are great places for other community members to get involved, some of whom might consider becoming board members. So it would be fantastic to have those committee meetings on an ongoing, I like the idea of quarterly also. And then former board members can also step off the board, but maintain a presence on committees, which would preserve our institutional knowledge as well over time, because I know for, at least maybe I don't know this, but it would seem to me that it would be difficult on administrators to have boards turn over on a regular basis. So it might be a way to preserve that knowledge over time, make it easier on our staff too.
I'll just say I can rarely come to policy or finance because of the 5 o'clock start time. So I also think it would be helpful from that perspective, is just making it more accessible to more board members rather than trying to cram it in. So
Interested to see how that works. I don't know where to start with that, but
is that what D127 does?
it's what
Maybe we could-
Wakanda does also. Maybe we can
Yeah,
talk
so
to
if-
the high school, yeah.
Yeah, maybe we talk to a couple districts who do it that way.
Okay, so I need a little more direction. Oh, I'm sorry, Tamika, go ahead.
I was just going to say, I agree with everything that's been said. My only question is, does any of my board colleagues feel like we've had blind spots? Because I think part 2 of the question was like, you know, do we need to incorporate potentially another committee or, so I guess my question is, did we experience any blind spots where we felt like, you know what, it would have been good if we had a standing committee in place for this that I may just not be aware of?
That's a good question.
I'm interested from our district staff. Do you see any gaps that a committee would fill in getting what you need?
No.
How dramatically does a committee of the whole, and it's still 2 board meetings per month, does that slow any of the other business down?
From a
little
financial
bit?
perspective, probably not, because we've already, sometimes districts worry about being able to get their bills paid, basically, if there's, but we've worked that out on the months that we are one board meeting, right, Chris? So that part's fine. I think we have to recognize that we have a history of wanting to have a conversation about a topic and then voting at the next board meeting. That might become more difficult if we know that we only have one meeting a month.
That's my
where we
concern, yeah.
can actually do that. So I guess would we be wanting to test the board's appetite on having more discussion and votes at one time? Because I think it might change that. How do you feel about that?
I think when you, if you look at what the village does for their committee of the whole, like in January, the committee of the whole meets and they have all those discussion items, and then the next meeting, what was basically discussed gets voted on at that next meeting. So that's how they run their committee of the whole. So if there was a whole bunch of stuff that needed to be discussed, it would be the first meeting, and the second meeting would be where we would just go through and do the agenda item approvals.
As a vote.
So it may actually open up a little more discussion because we're not feeling we're under a time frame to get out of here by, midnight on some nights. So that's kind of how some of that's how I see the village board work theirs between the 2 meetings.
Can I say that back to you? You weren't planning to stay here till midnight tonight, though, right? But, okay, so it would be 1 month, or excuse me, 1 meeting would be lots of discussion items. The next meeting would be, say, a finance meeting, and then voting, and then all of the action items from the last meeting. Is that correct?
Yeah.
That's what you meant.
And those financial ones would be that first, all that discussion part, right? It would be Chris's presentation on the budget, the Raptor presentation as far as, or the Raptor discussion, and then the next meeting, it would be, yay or nay, yay or nay, yay or nay, with very little, other stuff that are in there. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I was actually thinking about it the other way, right? So if we had, well, but we can
Yeah, I mean,
talk through.
You can make it work
Yeah, either
however
way,
it works.
yes, yeah.
So maybe we investigate with D127.
Mm-hmm.
I can reach out to D118 and see what they do, because they do the same thing.
Yeah.
And see what that means for staff time, meeting times. 'Cause I think that's still important. We've gotten into a good groove with respecting staff time.
But the one thing I wanted to do for that finance committee is try to get everybody at the table.
Mm-hmm.
So that it's,
Mhm.
there are no blind spots, right?
Mhm.
What I learned in the thing, what I learned
Mhm.
in the meeting is the same thing you learn at the same time.
Mhm.
We're not trying to regurgitate.
Catch us up.
Just usually 40 minutes later, we're regurgitating the same thing Chris told us before.
Mm-hmm.
Might as well just tell everybody at the same time.
Jim, do you know at the village, do they have non-board members on those committees?
So they have a zoning board, they have a planning board and stuff like that. Those are where their board members also come in. So they'll have people sit on the planning and zoning board, and then the planning and zoning board would give that to the committee of the whole for the discussion, and then it would get voted on the next time around, or whenever it comes back around. Sometimes there's long timeframes between the discussion and the vote, based on how things are working behind the scenes, because they got a lot of staff doing stuff like to catch it up. But yeah, they do have their the committee meetings, right? Like planning and zoning, they meet separately, away from the board members and away from an actual meeting. That's on like an agenda that you usually see. So there are citizens that participate in that.
But if we were going to do that, would it mean then we would actually have a third meeting in those quarterly meetings?
Not necessarily. It all depends on how you want to work that. I mean, there's so many different ways that you can massage this to work for us. There's no hard and fast blueprint that we have to follow.
Stephen and I were just saying that we could take an action item to have conversations with the 127 and 118 boards to see what they do, what they like about, pros and cons, and bring that back to everybody. I mean, from a board perspective, but then I'd also be interested maybe Lynn reaching out to find out how it works from a staff perspective too.
Absolutely.
Yeah, cool.
We'll start that.
I wonder if, so going back to one of our the slides, and I don't remember which one, I think it was you, Amy, but there was a rubric that they used. It might be interesting to have a rubric, a decision-making rubric for this, so that we can assign points to it.
I would love that.
I love rubrics.
All right, we'll begin the process. Okay. All right, topics for future agenda items.
Yes. Okay. Well, actually, the very next time that we have a board meeting is next Wednesday night. It is a special board meeting. It is our board self-evaluation at 6 p.m. Laura Martinez from ISB will be with us, guiding us through that process. 6 p.m. Yeah, right, yes. And right in here, special board meeting. The next piece is not a board meeting, but we heard from our GMS 8th graders. Just a reminder that we have both Park Campus and GMS graduations on June 1st. Board will send you details about times and where to be and such, okay? But mark your calendars for June 1st. That brings us to the next regular board meeting on June 4th, by which time we will be done with the 24-25 school year, if you can believe it. So this is officially the last regular board meeting of this school year, which is amazing to me. On June 4th, we will have our Sustainability Task Force giving a final report. We will have some updates. Our Resource Conservation Committee will give an update. I'll give an update from my recent meeting with the Guardian Teacher Advisory Committee. Talking about student discipline, that's what that's about, as a reminder. We'll have discussion on Forward Edge renewal. So Mrs. Pelster will bring us that. As you heard from Mr. Wildman, we'll have our tentative budget fiscal year 25-26 presentation. So what you heard tonight, but more robust with pictures, right? We intend to bring you a new hire of an administrator. So board, remember, we are bringing on a new facility manager to be working with Jose, Mr. Jose Zires. And so we're hopeful to be able to have that ready to go, and someone with us on June 4th, which of course we all know means cake. That would be right, cake. You guys are all tired. You're tired if the cake came so slowly. It means cake, people. We have a whole bunch of approvals of the things that you've been hearing about. The ticketing inventory system approval, emergency management system approval. We're also bringing you 2 approvals from CLIC, property casualty insurance renewal, and workers' comp renewal. And then the school treasurer's bond approval as well. So that's June 4th. June 18th, we have a 5 o'clock policy committee meeting. Board, I believe you should already have access to all of the policies that we got through press that should be updated. It's a longer list this time. And so we'll do a 5 o'clock policy committee meeting. Then we will do a first look at policies at that June 18th meeting. And then we have a strategic plan update. As we do every summer, we'll talk about all of the work our team and our whole staff has done this year in relation to the strategic plan, along with what our plans are for the upcoming year regarding the strategic plan. And then we intend to bring you forward edge renewal approval. And then moving on to July 16th, if we need another policy committee meeting, if we don't get through it all in the first one, we'll have one on July 16th, and then the policy approvals. And then we have, as we told you before, Wold Architects coming to do a media center update. And then it's August, and we don't have to talk about August yet. That's it.
Okay, thank you very much. I do believe we have public comment. Yes, is that correct?
Yes, we have Amber Donnelly.
Yes. There you go. Yep, thank you.
Good evening. My name's Amber Donnelly. I am the food service district manager here at Grace Lake District 46. On behalf of Organic Life, I just came to say thank you for a wonderful school year, and we're just so grateful to be here and to support you guys on serving these kids food and seeing how exciting they get coming through the lunch lines, grabbing their food and sitting down and just getting them engaged, and also the food and where it comes from. I also want to thank you guys for approving next year, bringing us back, and we look forward to extending our relationship with you next school year in 2025 to 2026. And I hope you guys all have a great summer, and hopefully it's relaxing.
Wonderful. Thank you very much. Thank you. We do have a closed session this evening, so I need a motion to enter into closed session, and I will read for the following reasons. In accordance with Public Act 5, Illinois CS 120/2, paragraph C, the appointment, employment, compensation, discipline, performance, or dismissal of a specific employee of the public body or legal counsel for the public body, including hearing testimony on a complaint lodged against an employee of the public body or against legal counsel for the public body to determine its validity. Also in accordance with Public Act 5, Illinois CS 120/2, paragraph C2, collective negotiating matters between the public body and its employees or their representatives, or deliberations concerning salary schedules for one or more classes of employees. And in accordance with Public Act 5, Illinois CS 120/2, paragraph C6, the setting of a price for the sale or lease of a property owned by the public body. I need a motion to enter into that session, please.
I'll move.
I'll second.
Okay, and we do not anticipate any additional meeting coming out, any additional information coming out of that meeting, so we will adjourn directly from there. Okay.
Nash.
Aye.
Miller. Mack.
Aye.
Halverson.
Aye.
Weedman.
Aye.
And Braden.
Aye.
Great. Thank you, everybody. Thank you for your evening. Have a good night.